The Megillah, Part 5. At the time of all beginning, that which existed was a solid mass of inert antimatter, the result of potential in the consciousness of the Creator. By this consciousness, an initial energy affected the inert antimatter mass by vibration producing sound, and sound likewise produced vibration. This is referred to as the Logos. As the helium atoms assert their own type of independence amid the restrictive element of the neutron precipitate, the advent of liquidity becomes more solidly entrenched as a greater number of layers of fabric are wrapped around the turning core. Hydrogen and helium dispersed throughout the fabric are folded over onto hydrogen and helium on other parts of the fabric. Likewise, free beta particles meet with the open cell conditions of virgin neutron precipitate and proximal protons, and atoms of 3 protons and 3 electrons are developed, known as lithium. The concentration of these greater atomic clusters begin to have adequate mass for attraction, by which the neutron precipitate fabric begins to fixate in accordance with the number of lithium atoms closely located within the fabric. The sliding between atoms first occurs with sparse concentrations of lithium, producing a lithium vapor or gas. Greater concentrations of lithium atoms develop a lithium liquid, and eventually high concentrations of lithium produce lithium solids, somewhat firmly locked together via mass, producing a 3-dimensional form recognized in reality. Lithium is a soft, silver-white metallic chemical element, the lightest known metal. Creation has an undeniable logic going for it. It is easier to maintain that structure is formed through the combining of substances than can be ascertained from the destruction of substances. As more beta particles are formed by oscillatory development, more layers wrap around the core, and greater depth of atomic substances result in the formation of a crust of malleable lithium surrounding an actively energized core. As this shell begins to encompass the core, pressures affect the energies upon the fabric within the core, compressing helium and hydrogen into yet another atomic structure, having 4 protons and 4 electrons. This is known as beryllium. Not soft like lithium, beryllium is a hard, silver-white, rare metallic chemical element found only in combination with others, used as an alloy to harden other metals, such as copper and nickel. Beryl is a source of beryllium, occurring in hexagonal crystals, giving evidence of the lattice in formations such as emeralds and aquamarine gemstones. Chaos in fixedness comprises the antimatter solid. The proton field maintains its fixedness by the order of energies which cause the neutron precipitates to remember the beta particle properties. What happens when atoms mix with other atoms? Molecules result. The development of atoms results in atomic structures of great number and variance. And while we can speculate the multiplicity of compounds which were the result of greater and greater combinations of protons and electrons within the neutron precipitate fabric, there is also indication that the development of concentrations of particular atoms marked phenomenal changes in the formations of later compounds and planetary structures. When massive concentrations of hydrogen atoms meet massive concentrations of oxygen atoms, water is the result, given the proper conditions for such atoms to combine and make molecules. Likewise, from the development of hydrogen and helium in mass, we recognize planetary bodies like our Sun, which gives us confidence such planetary bodies are among the oldest objects to be developed within the rotation of helix of a particular point of oscillatory junction. If we think of the development of a galaxy like a great pool of spiraling atoms and molecules emanating from a singular source, we might recognize our Sun as the first result of hydrogen and helium atoms in helix, with swirls and eddies developing along the fringes of the expanding fabric from the effect of rotation on the whole of the fabric mass. And God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years, and let them be for lights in the firmament to give light upon the earth." And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. The spiraling core which results from the pre-stellary development of antimatter into its beta particle constituents can be defined for the sake of discussion as a helical core, and it can be summarily surmised that all turning planetary masses are likewise developed upon a ciliary effect upon helical cores. Satellite objects, such as the Earth's moon, which do not turn rotationally independent, can be determined to have a non-helical core, therefore not the direct result of a ciliary junction, but rather the accumulation of developed atomic and molecular materials. Encrusted without by the thickening cloak of lithium and beryllium, the growing pressures within the core itself of a developing Earth eventually build to press a mixture of trapped atomic hydrogen, helium, lithium, and beryllium concentrations into the buoyant arms of space. Expressed with adequate force to propel it outward, then eventually becoming anchored upon the lattice of the fabric, the moon obediently follows the earth in conjunction with the motion of the fabric which emanates from the earth's helical core. Following the birth of the moon was found a completion in the development of the earth's foundation. Prior to expulsion of the moon, the roll begins to fatten, causing its girth to increase and its height to shrink. Following expulsion of the moon's matter, this shape is maintained because internal pressures have changed the placement of external solids. Within this orb of the earth, undeveloped antimatter continues to exist, just as within the inner confines of the burning sun a core of antimatter exists. Intense heat builds as continuing pre-stellary development and vibration precipitates of friction superheat a now enclosed environment of continually developing hydrogen atoms which are created and destroyed, while antimatter's trapped condition causes creation of beta particles, producing a constant heat energy deep within the core of the Earth. This intense heated core acts upon the atomic layers which have engulfed it, causing beryllium to melt at 1280 degrees Celsius and lithium to boil at 1336 degrees Celsius. Combined with newly developed hydrogen and affected by helium's propensity toward dispersal, pressures force these liquefied ingredients to the surface, causing rifts and heavings of the crust. An outpouring of magma causes cohesion between materials, producing new molecular structures, precipitates, and compounds as a result of extraneous affectations upon the fabric and its components by heat and pressure. Boron, of which less is known than any other common element, is produced when passing an electric arc through boron trichloride and hydrogen. Comprised of 5 protons and 5 electrons on the neutron precipitate fabric, boron enters the picture with the ability toward a twofold real form. Due to a development of boron isotopes, boron, unlike its predecessors lithium and beryllium, is a non-metallic chemical element. It is found only in combinations, as with sodium and oxygen and borax, and is produced in form as a soft, amorphous brown powder or very hard, brilliant crystals. In its amorphous state it is shapeless, without definitive form or specialized structure, as some lower forms of life. Here we see the constituent elements for the formation of simple sea creatures: soft, muscular bodies wrapped with hard, shell-like exteriors. Of all elements which can combine to make life, boron, like carbon, can be the basis of a reproducing life form when introduced to hydrogen. Researchers must consider the likelihood of there being extensively developed boron-based life, a possibility which cannot be overlooked when testing fossils for age by carbon dating. Carbon dating will always find carbon deficiencies in boron-based life, reflective of chemical constituency and no reliable indicator of age by carbon degradation. At ordinary temperatures, boron is a poor conductor of electricity, but at 600 degrees Celsius, its conductivity has increased approximately 1,000,000 times. As the products of these early volcanic events cool, boron passes through a hyperconductive state, which facilitates transfers of electrical energy, and particularly when mixed with hydrogen, boron compounds have been identified as essential to controlling cell growth in plants. Boron, unlike most of the other elements, combines directly with nitrogen when heated. As carbon atoms likewise develop and internal temperatures increase, boron carbide is developed when boric acid and coke are heated to 2700 degrees Celsius and pressed out onto the Earth, the carbon evidenced in dark bands in the Earth's crust. Following quickly on the heels of boron and carbon, nitrogen occurs, which has far-reaching implications for vegetative forms, and on the Earth's surface, oxygen and its subsequent support of carbon-based life is produced as a direct result of vegetative preponderance. And God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters and the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth." And the evening and the morning were the 5th day.